Dear Diary, oh, scratch that. Dear God, it's been interesting learning about the Proverbs 31 woman. Oh, how amazing she is. The question is, am I half the woman you describe in your word? I am on a journey, and you can be too. So let's get to learn together. Karibu sana. If you've been with me from the time I started my journey, thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. So today I want to share something interesting that I have been learning from the Bible. Yes, and it's about the Proverbs 31 woman. And I just want us to read the chapter itself and just go verse by verse, just to see how I understand it. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the same way you're going to understand it if you're reading through, but I think it's been such a challenging chapter for me to be studying in this period, just as a mom or even as a wife or just as a lady or just as a woman, because this chapter, interestingly, has been specifically just directed to us as women. And I think that's something that's really powerful. I don't think there's a chapter in the Bible that talks about men and how I don't know, but I don't want to say that we are better than men, but I just want to say that as women, God has empowered us. He has even given us a whole chapter in his word to remind us how special we are and the things that we should be able to achieve in life. So I'm going to start from chapter 31 verse 10, Proverbs chapter 31 verse 10. And the Bible says, a good wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. And I keep asking myself, does my husband trust in me? Does he trust in my commitment to our marriage? Does he trust in me when it comes to matters of the heart, when it comes to finances, when it comes to running our home? And I think that these are questions that we should hardly and really just ask ourselves as women, because it's very important to be at a place where people can trust you. Can people trust you with what they're telling you? Can people trust you with secrets that they know you would keep? And I think it's not even just the husband, but people who you interact with at work, people who you interact with at home, your family members. Can they trust you with information? Can they trust you with things that are personal? Now, verse 12 says, she does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. Are you a hard worker? Are you doing good and no harm? Are you seeking wool and flax? Do you work with willing hands? And this has been really challenging for me, because sometimes, as women, we tend to get comfortable with just being where we are. We tend to be comfortable as being housewives, or just as being in situations where we are not challenging ourselves, we are not pushing ourselves, and this really pushes us back. And this specific verse has really make me question myself. Most times I have to ask myself, am I seeking wool? Am I working with willing hands? Am I really giving and pushing my best to ensure that I've provided for my family, to ensure that as I have provided, I have done my best as a wife, to ensure that my house is in good order, to ensure that things are running? Am I working with willing hands, or am I always complaining? So maybe it's a question that we should ask ourselves, even as we continue with our day-to-day work, even as you go to work, even if you're a housewife, when you're doing your house chores, are you working with willing hands, or are you complaining about it? Now, verse 15 says, she rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and tasks for her maidens. Wow. Just wow. Listen to that verse. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household. What time do you wake up? Do you plan for your house? Do you plan for your household if you have one? Do you plan for your kids? Are they ready when they wake up? If they are going to school, are you providing for them? Are you ensuring that things are in order? As a wife, even as a lady, even if you're a single lady and you're not yet married, you still have responsibilities if you're living by yourself or if you're still living with your parents. Are you waking up early? Are you providing for your household? Are you making sure that tasks are done on time and in the right way? This has been such an encouraging verse for me. And then it continues to say, she considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She guards her loins with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Are we thinking about investments? Are we being smart enough to think outside the box? Are we comfortable with paying rent for the rest of our lives? Are we comfortable with using matatus for the rest of our lives? Are we comfortable with giving our children just average? But I think this verse really encourages us that we need to think about investments. We need to think about the next steps for our families. We need to think about chamas that are going to build us. We need to prepare ourselves for a bright future, to prepare our families for a place of comfort. It's not only the responsibility of the man, because the Bible says that a good woman considers a field and buys it. What does that tell us? It tells us that as women, we should also be investors. We should also think about ways of improving our lifestyles, of improving our homes, of improving, of investing, of thinking about things that are going to build our homes. Now, it continues to say in verse 18, her lamp does not go out at night. Guys, she puts her hands to the distaff and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. 22 says, she makes herself coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. I'm going to take us back a little bit to verse 18. It says, her lamp does not go out at night. I mean, in all literal versions that I can think of this verse, I think so let's go back to where it says her lamp does not go out at night. I mean, I don't think this necessarily means that we need to transnight, but it means that are we going over and above? Does it mean that when our lamps are not going off, are we learning? Are we teaching ourselves more? Are we reading books? Are we listening to things that are building us as women? And I think that's very important. Now, I had already read up to chapter 22, so I'm just going to skip that to 23. It says, her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers girdles to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. Is strength and dignity something that you are identified with as a woman? Are you strong? Are you dignified? How do you carry yourself? How do you present yourself at work? How do you present yourself to your family members? How do you present yourself in life? Can you be considered a dignified woman? Because that is a character that the Proverbs 31 woman carries. And it's very important, because if people can identify you with strength, if people can identify you as a dignified woman, then this becomes part of your covering. It says that this is part of her clothing. This is who this woman is. And I really aspire to be this woman. Can people identify Jane as a strong woman? Can people identify Jane as a dignified woman? Do my actions represent who this woman is? And that really is my driving force towards the decisions that I make in life and towards the people that I choose to interact with. Guys, I'm really sorry. It's so noisy. I don't even know if you guys can hear me, but I don't know. I live in a place where there are so many kids, and I'm not complaining because I also have a small kid, and they need to play and they need to go out there and run. So to survive too, what do I say? To survive too. So 26 says, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Oh, how beautiful. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Guys, do you open your mouth with wisdom? Can people say that teachings of kindness come from your mouth? Or are you always just blabbering and getting upset and allowing anger to take control of your words? The Bible says that a good woman opens her mouth with wisdom. And I think the Bible is the basis of all wisdom. The Bible is the basis of all wisdom. So that for me is such an eye-opener. And it says the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. When you're teaching, are you kind? When you're speaking to people, when you're speaking to your kids, when you're training people at work, do you do it with kindness? Does it come out as a person of integrity and kindness? I really hope it does, because that is an everyday challenge. That is an everyday challenge, guys. We need to challenge ourselves. 27 says she looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Are you working hard? Are you doing things on the side? It doesn't have to be employment. Are you self-employing yourself? Are you reading books to just open up your mind? Are you doing things? Are you listening to things that help build the person that you are? Because that is very important. And that means that you're also looking into the ways of your household. You're ensuring that your family is well taken care of. Your kids are eating well, they're eating healthy, they understand the importance of drinking water, of having fruits, just small things that we ignore, but I think as women are very important. 28 says, her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. 29 says, many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. You can be excellent in your job. I mean, no doubt we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have women who have made it big, who are making it big. But the Bible clearly says that this woman, the Proverbs 31 woman, has surpassed them all. So to me, how I understand this is sometimes it's not all about the fame. It really isn't. It's about being a woman of integrity. It's about being a woman who is wise, a woman who is working hard, a woman who is kind, a woman who is sharing with open arms. That does not mean that you have to be named in the Forbes magazine, but just because you're a woman of integrity and you're the Proverbs 31 woman, in short, it means that you surpass them all because of your character. Character is very important. Now, the last verse says, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Now, that does not mean that you have an excuse to not look good, to not take care of yourself. I think it just means that over and above that, what is your ultimate fear? Do you fear God? Do your actions show that you actually fear God? Are you practicing to be a woman of integrity? Are you practicing to be a woman who has wisdom? The Bible says that a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. That is the ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to learn to fear God in the things I do, in the decisions that I make, in the choices that I make in life, all these things. And the Bible says that give her of the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates. Wow. Guys, Proverbs 31 has really been challenging me as a mother, as a wife, as a woman who is seeking to be better, who is seeking to do better. And this chapter has been like a guiding factor. And I hope that you get to find your Proverbs 31 woman and you get to exercise it every single day of your life. I do hope that this video has been educative to someone, and that as a mom where you're seated, you are really just thinking of bettering yourself as a person so that you can present yourself whole to your family. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've learned something. Have a nice evening and see you all next time.